fireplaces. It's hard to carry on when you feel all alone. Now I've swung back down again. It's worse than it was before. If I hadn't seen such riches, I could live with being poor. Oh, sit down, oh, sit down, oh, sit down. Sit down next to me. Sit down, 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 down. Sympathy.
Evening, everyone. Evening. Weekly chat at 6 o'clock with Kenny Ken. And tonight we've got Dow. How you doing, mate?
I am buzzing, Jazz. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm all good. Tony Claude, man, thanks for coming on. How you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm doing good, Jez. Nice to see you, and nice to see your Regun Guna and Kenny Ken, who just had his birthday yesterday. Big ups to you, Kenny Ken, and more blessings to you, my brother, man. More
Happy
blessings
birthday.
to you.
Great birthday present.
Yeah, I
Oh,
was gonna say
absolutely.
that. Kenny, man, thanks for coming on. I mean, it couldn't get any better for you yesterday. It's your birthday. You're home to watch Porto in the Champions League, and Arsenal get through to the quarterfinals, man. Give us your
It could be. It's the first time since 2010 quarterfinals of the Champions League. Last time, we got knocked out by Barcelona. Drew 2-2 at home. We know what happened in the second leg, but just to get there, against a very, very good team, a very well drilled team. They may be third in like the La Liga, Portugal, but they played out their skin. 41-year-old to play 2 hours of football. Shake it. Bravo to Pepe. Bravo to Pepe. I shake his hand. It was a great learning curve for a lot of our players. It was, and the fact is that, we got through by the skin of our teeth. We could be sat here today and thinking, you know what, it's another last 16, like I said, defeat. But, we've gone one better. It's to the stage there where, who knows, you can just see the, like I said, how to say it, the tube signs of Wembley when you get to the quarters, but it's still, loads of football to be played, loads of football.
Facts, man. Facts. I mean, it was. It must have been amazing to be at the Emirates last night. Quite jealous of you being there, but it was an awesome result in the end. Let's put it right. It's the first time we've been in this position for 14 years. And there must be an awful lot of young guys at that ground last night that were probably, 4 years old at the time. Wouldn't remember it, didn't see it. As you said, when we were there and got kicked out by Barcelona, who at that time had an awesome team. Let's put it right. They were unbelievable good. But we're there, and Dow, mate.
Yes, sir. What's up?
You were saying off backstage, you were talking to your son about it. He was what, 0 years old when this last happened. So, you know what I mean? And here we are. We are in the quarters again. And I'll get all your opinions on it, and I'll give my opinion on it. I'm still buzzing, man. Still buzzing.
Yeah, me too.
Dow, what do you think about it, mate?
From the kickoff, I guess I was really nervous, to be honest. First, Jazz, I really thought that I could feel the vibe was there. I could hear the crowd, but deep inside my gut, I think like many of us, I was very, very nervous. I was just waiting for a mistake, from any player, a goal. And I think if they would have scored first, I think we would have really, really struggled to come back in that game. Just from the kickoff, it just didn't look right. I thought some of the passing was disjointed. Some of the runs weren't really in very good timing well. I thought Saka kind of had a stinker. I thought Trossard was okay till he scored. I just saw a lot of okay performances at first, to be honest. And I was really nervous, when the 35th minute rolls around and sort of like, okay, what's really going to happen, right? And I started counting down minutes and thinking like maybe halftime is a good thing. We could regroup and so forth. And of course, Odegaard comes up with a piece of brilliance, an absolute class of a pass to Trossard to finish in the corner there on the far post. But up until that point, Jess, I got to be honest, I was shitting myself. I was really, really nervous because I think you guys may agree or disagree that we did not look good in the first few minutes of that game. We looked scared. We looked confused. I think the pressure of the night got to us a bit right at the beginning. Of course, we did have a couple decent shots. We put them under pressure. Halftime Trossard scored, which eased halftime. But I think halftime, to be honest, couldn't come soon enough in some points. I thought Declan Rice did a great job as usual. David Ray, of course, my man of the match, played out of his skin. But I was really concerned about Saka, and I was concerned about Saliba and what they did yesterday. I thought Gabriel was incredible. I'm thinking that Gabriel, to me right now, is probably the best center back in the league. I just thought that he was immense yesterday. But the whole thing was still under, to me, a dark cloud. I was literally nervous from kickoff to the very, very end of penalties because I just felt like the atmosphere was so huge for a lot of these players that they're going to make a mistake. A mistake is bound to happen. Zinchenko may get nutmegged, anything like that. But it didn't happen. So here we are in the quarterfinals, and I'm freaking gassed. And looking back on it, I don't have very high player ratings for anyone, but Raya and Odegaard and Trossard, I thought the rest were very, very average yesterday. And going into whoever we face, be it, I think we can face a domestic, right? We can face Man City at this point. So domestically, we got Man City to look at. And of course, I fear Inter, Real Madrid, of course, Barcelona, any of the other top teams. But, we got to put this game in the books. We're here for a reason. And we just got to look forward to the draw and prepare ourselves for that. And of course, prepare ourselves for City in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point. Tony, you did a watch along for it. And I was really nervous about it. And I said it on Lee's stream the other night, Monday night. Yeah, I'm up for it, but I'm nervous. Give me your breakdown, mate. How do you think about it?
Yeah, Jez, that was a very, very nervous one yesterday. The watch along I had with the boys yesterday, we were just at the edge of our seats, and we're just hoping and praying, that the match goes smoothly. But with Arsenal these days, there's nothing that comes easy, mostly in Europe, and I think this stems from how many Arsenal fans per se, or a certain part of our fan base, actually looked down on the competition called FC Porto. Many people forgot that FC Porto have a European pedigree. These are two-time winners of the European Champions League. Okay, of course, they don't have, the wealth of experience or the wealth of players that they used to have, like Hulk, Rodriguez, and the rest of them that they used to have back in the days. But again, they still have a 41-year-old leader of the dark arts, 41-year-old yesterday. And look at the way he was playing, he really, really showed up the defense of Porto. What I'm just trying to say is that we really, really underrated Porto and the competition coming from Porto. And Jez, also one thing I also want you guys to also get to understand is that, did you see that FC Porto actually came out to play yesterday? I was shocked. They came out to play, because when we saw that first leg down there in Porto, we all thought that, hey, you know what? Yeah, they will come down to the Emirates. It will be easy peasy with the Emirates fan base. We'll just, wave and wave of attacks. But and probably maybe they would just go on a mid block or maybe probably a low block. But to my shock yesterday, FC Porto came out smoking. And again, this is also an indictment on this manager just a little bit. I'll go to the positive side later on, but it's good we look at the critical points. This manager's European pedigree has some big holes, and as far as I'm concerned, he still needs to, earn his stripes in Europe. I'm not worried about what happened yesterday, but I'm happy for what happened. The tactics of FC Porto, you can clearly see that they came out to actually truncate and break down our fluidity. Yesterday's match wasn't played even up to 60 minutes. Let that sink in. It was filled with breakages all through. The dark art ruled the whole game. And that's a testament to how these European teams play and the technical abilities of these managers that come from Europe. But as Mikel Arteta fine-tuned himself to actually, at least face head-on with these technical changes that is warranted in Europe. And for me, I think he's struggled yesterday. The answer is no. For us who are saying bring on Real Madrid, I think we should be careful for what we're asked for in the next round. I just really hope that what happened yesterday, mostly with David Raya, which was a part of the positive things that happened yesterday, would spur us on to greater things. At least that was one of the shining lights of yesterday. Jez, Bukayo Saka had another stinker yesterday. Let that sink in. Stinker upon stinker. I couldn't believe what I was seeing from Bukayo Saka. He's the highest goal scorer in this team. These are the games he should actually step up. Many people are questioning, even rival fans and rival legends are questioning his status as a world-class player. Well, there goes the answer. When he has stinkers upon stinkers upon stinkers like that, there will be a dark cloud over his abilities, mostly at Arsenal Football Club, mostly when the big trophies aren't coming in. Trossard had quite a decent game. He disappeared really when we got into the game. Martin Odegaard was more of a kind of like he grew into the game rather than lighting the game up, really. I didn't really see him in the first 15 minutes. The only time that I really herald what Martin Odegaard did was that carving out of that Porto defense. Oh my God. He has flashes of brilliance like this, yeah. And on a good day, when his head is in it, he can actually carve out any defense. Look at that pass straight to Trossard. And even in that game, we weren't even getting most of our balls in behind the Porto defense. And that was a very, very big problem. Declan Rice had an average game, probably a stinker yesterday. And this is the thing with Arsenal. We have to have Yeah, he had a stinker yesterday. Let's be frank. It's a £105 million pound signing. He's done well in the Premier League, but Jezza yesterday was a stinker, and we should call it by what it looks like. Also, I was impressed yesterday with Gabriel yesterday and Kivio yesterday.
Jez wants to challenge you, Tony.
I'm shocked.
Yeah,
Kivio. Kenny.
Rice was.
I want to move
Rice
on to
was
Kenny.
shocking yesterday. Him and Bukayo Saka, shocking.
Well, I agree with you on Saka, but Kenny, you're at the game. You see it all. You get a better picture when you're at the ground. See everything was happening on and off the ball. I mean, be honest. I think. Well, let's start with the Saka. I thought Saka was a bit poor yesterday. He didn't really get in the game. I think Rice had a great game. Personally, I mean, give me your opinion, man. You were there.
Well, first and foremost, there was a lot of things where you could accept it and think, if you're a neutral fan looking at that match, and you compared Arsenal to the teams that you think are going to be favourites of Champions League, you wouldn't put them anywhere near, the top of the list. For a start, Jamie Carragher says the second best team in the Champions League is actually Arsenal. That's complete and utter rubbish. It was jingoistic garbage that you only hear in the UK, because they know Arsenal inside out, and he clearly hasn't been watching other clubs in Europe or European football in general. The fact is, on that performance, if I'm to be honest, we're light years away from winning this tournament. I still think the Premiership is our best chance of silverware. You know, the team that that Mikel has built, the tempo that Mikel prefers the team to play at, you know, the athleticism that we have is not, you know, like how I say it, it's not in tune with what we need in Europe. We did look comfortable with the sort of the tempo, you know, slow from the back and then quick in the last third. The one time we did is when we scored. I thought Saliba was terrible. He was a liability. He's panicking. You know, times when you wanted him to hold the ball, he was heading it back into the abyss, which is the opposition. Got to say that. Saka, I thought Wendell played him really well. Really, really well. Just like he did in this first leg. I thought Trossard, before other than the time he scored, I thought he struggled, Trossard. I really did. And the ground, we were calling for Trossard to be replaced by Jesus because he was struggling that much. And after it improved, Odegaard were very, very impressed with his work rate and trying to get back in the game. And then Declan Rice, I thought really was knackered. I think in extra time, he was absolutely knackered. First, in the first few first half, I thought he played really well. But second half, he retreated a lot and he wasn't giving us that outball. So, you know, there's but he wasn't the only player that was exhausted. I thought Saka looked exhausted in the second half. So in extra time, one thing, the other negatives was Zinchenko and Jesus. They were brought on to bring calm, and instead they caused chaos. Zinchenko couldn't stop giving the ball away, and Jesus just was playing way too deep. He didn't give us any of an outlet. Only Eddie and Arteta knows what his role was yesterday because he brought absolutely nothing to the table. But in saying all of that, we stayed in the game. I think, you know, Porto were tired as well, especially when they did try to make, you know, wage their attacks in the second half and in extra time. I thought Ben Tarami was off the pace, but that's understandable. He's been injured for a while. So, you know what I mean? It was one of the things where it was so close to call. And that's the thing, you know. And the reason why it was so close to call is because of one, because Porto are a really good side. One, because of our experience. But you know what? Porto couldn't get over the line because of the strengths we've displayed since we come back from Dubai, you know, the bounce back ability, the organisation, and I suppose the athleticism. But David Raya shake his hand. David Raya was like a steady Eddie. You know, the shots he had, he made some really good saves. His organisation was great. He was actually the calmest person on the field, you know, with the way he was playing the ball from the back, you know. I say it now. I got problems saying it. If Aaron Ramsdale was in goal, we would have lost yesterday. But the reason why I say that was when Aaron Ramsdale kicks the ball into the abyss and gives away possession, that will play right into Porto's hands. The way David Raya would get the ball, he would give it at least a red shirt and keep the possession ticking over. But, you know, in conclusion to what I've got to say, glad we're through. Thank you, to David Raya. But against Bayern, we've got to really, really step it up and learn quickly because they got the players to punish us. I'm not saying Porto didn't, but they definitely got the players to punish us. Why you're writing off Bayern, it's just shocking. Shocking. You think about, you were just looking at Bayern because they're off the pace in the Bundesliga, but you're not beating Bayern. This team ain't beating Bayern unless they really, really keep possession and are able to stay with them for the two legs. Because I can say one thing about this team. Thank God we got this 19 days break. Thank God we're not playing on Saturday. And hopefully we rest a few players in the National League because I fear that the way we've been playing, the intensity we've been playing, is going to catch up with us, not just in Europe, but in the Premiership. Because I saw signs against Brentford where we looked knackered. If We have to. The problem is we have to play like that to win the league, but whether we're going to be able to do that, I don't know. So we've got to really watch those kind of levels. Those subs need to Partey needs to get as fit as he can, because he might have to come into midfield and give us some energy. The same with Tomiyasu. He may have to come in and give us a bit of energy, because right now you're virtually relying on 11 players, because his subs were a bit had to be questioned as well. They're poor.
Yeah,
because
I mean,
of the personnel. You know what I mean? Why don't you bring Vieira on? He's gone on the ball. Why don't you bring him on? Don't trust him. Why don't you bring Reece Nelson to try and work the right back? Don't trust him. That could cost us if we go deep into both competitions, but especially this competition in the Champions League.
fact. I mean, I questioned it big time. Like, I did my watch along last night with Anthony Herbert and the Yeti. But just thank you, Unique 79 makes you super chat. Thank you, bro. Panel, do you think we will be able to multitask the Premier League and the Champions League for the double? It is one thing playing for more than one trophy on a national scale, but it's another on an international scale. Great question. Great question, man. Dow, what do you think?
That's really the biggest question of the season, isn't it? I just like Kenny Ken said, and I think even Tony may have mentioned as well, that maybe the best path is the Premier League. But I don't know. If we draw PSV, that would be fantastic, right? If we drew PSV, I think there's another club in there of lesser pedigree.
Borussia Dortmund.
Yeah, Dortmund. I think you're right, Tony. I think those two teams would be our only real path to Champions League glory. If we pull, again, Madrid, Inter, City, Barcelona, I don't think we have the experience or the depth to go through. And just like Kenny Ken said, and you've said too, Jez, all along, he does not trust the bench. It's clearly evident he doesn't trust half the bench, and so it makes me nervous for what lineups he would put in if he's not even giving ESR a chance to do something with 5 minutes to go in a game. But with that said, back to the question, I think our route there is the Premier League unless we get PSV or Dortmund. That makes sense. But then again, I don't really trust ourselves. The way we looked yesterday, I don't trust us to play well against those teams either. It was from what we saw against West Ham, Fulham, Burnley, Sheffield, the 5-4, 5-6s, that came to an abrupt end, right? Just last weekend against Brentford. So God damn, that's a hard question. I think the Premier League is the way to go. I really do. Looking at schedules, we don't have the easiest. We don't have the hardest. I know towards the end we've got Tottenham United, which could be tricky, of course. But either way, I hope. But I'm very cautious that either one's going to lead to anything, to be honest. I just don't think we have the squad depth. I think the talent's there, the motivation's there, the willing to win's there. But let's say if Saliba gets an injury or someone else gets a knock, I don't even trust that person off the bench anymore. If ESR comes in against Porto with 10 minutes to go, that's just throwing the kid to the wolves again. What is he supposed to do with 10 minutes to go in a game? And so with throwing ESR, that he's not a world beater. He's not going to probably do anything that's going to win us the game. But at the same side of the coin, you just never know. And without giving him on there, you have given the kid a chance. You'll never know. So I think like Kenny Ken hit the nail on the head. It's all about how we use our substitutions and not giving so much time to certain players and burning them out at the end of the season to have them prepared at the end of the season for maybe a semifinal, right? If we go into a semifinal and we don't have, let's say 3 of our starters because of injury, burnout, etc., then it's all for nothing again.
Well,
yeah.
Kenny,
Yeah.
I'll come to you. I'm going to come to Tony, man. Kenny, ESR's on the bench. We need a goal. We're going into extra time. Right, we're in extra time. Why didn't he bring it on this ESR? I'm sorry to have to say it. Once again, Nketiah was absolute dog crap. Did nothing.
It's an easy decision for him, because simple reason his team were knackered. His team was completely and utterly knackered, and he wanted Eddie's legs. Although Eddie didn't do it, Eddie was there to put Eddie, and that's why you actually beat Eddie with a stick just as much as you beat the manager for bringing him on. Eddie had one job, a very simple job, just run them down and stop them from playing out the back, and he blew it. He couldn't do it. You know the thing that was so poignant, and I don't know if any of you guys noticed, our substitutes when they came on looked just as knackered as the players who played the 420. Not many people know that. I was actually in extra time. As soon as we went to extra time, I said this is going to go to penalties. I don't think.
Yeah.
I thought both teams settled for penalties, not just Porto, but we did as well in terms of the players we kept on, the personnel we had as well. In fact, I had my penalty takers, like I said, shoed in my mind, and I was actually surprised he took off Trossard because he's a penalty taker, but clearly he was absolutely exhausted. But you think about it, who do you replace Trossard with? Says a lot, because you would have thought the natural substitution would have been, someone like, Reece Nelson to put them under pressure. But he's looked at it, he said, well, my first choice wingers were getting played really well and dominated by their fullbacks, so I'm not going to do it. And actually, I don't really trust Reece in the league game, so why am I going to bring him up for that game? And then ESR says a lot. I mean, you only have to look at the makeup of our sides in 2021 and the side that, should have got into the top four in 22. ESR was prominent. He's had a major injury, but he's fit. He's fit. So why, since his injury last season, has Arteta found it difficult, or, to be honest, been reluctant to use him? I'll tell you why he's been reluctant to use him, because he's so far down the pecking order. That's a lack of trust. And it speaks volumes what his intentions were. Clearly, he's thinking, I'll bring these guys on if it takes me that long to get in the game and put hitters on the break. My players are tired. We're going to find it difficult to get back in the game. Because I'll tell you one thing now. Don't know if you guys agree with me or not. Whoever conceded a goal in extra time, regardless whether it's the first minute of extra time or the last minute of extra time, those 30 minutes, they would have gone out. Because I'll tell you, both teams didn't have an equaliser in them in extra time. I can promise you. They were absolutely out on their feet. We were out on our feet because of our inexperience and the fact that we couldn't keep the ball well. Put her out on their feet, not because they defended, because they did a lot of the running in the second half of the game. In the second half, they were the better side. We had our moments, but in terms of like European experience, better side. One thing I need to mention as well: the ignorance of a lot of our fans towards the referees. I've been saying it for a lot of times, loads of times, saying loads of times as well, that you need to watch European football because the referees referee different than they do differently than they do in England. Trust me. You watch the Portuguese league, the Spanish league, you watch the Italian league, that referee, those decisions you would have seen in any of those leagues. But in England, we get away with a lot. For instance, remember when some of the tackles for both sides, referees were giving fouls or was letting it go. The goal that got disallowed in the Premiership, that was given because that's similar to Liverpool.
Now
Similar to Liverpool.
Yeah.
But in a Premiership, that's a foul. In Europe, that's a foul. But I think we need to be honest. If we're going to stay deep in this competition, the fans need to be very, very educated about what's going to be allowed from and what's not going to be allowed. The tackles, the time wasting. Because I'll tell you one thing, our fans are going to be very frustrated because all this stuff about the referee was bent, falls in deaf ears. Trust me.
Yeah, fact.
I know blatant cheating. And I'll tell you one thing.
Yeah.
I saw blatant cheating in the Chelsea game in 2009 and the our cup final in Europe in 2006. Trust me, that is cheating. That is undisputable. What we saw yesterday, that's a big learning curve for our fans and the players.
Fact. Absolutely, totally agree with you.
Jezza, please, I wanted to add something to. Yeah, I wanted to add something to.
It's your super chat.
Yeah, my super chat. Yeah. Shout out to Docs and Coffee, man. He says, I'm concerned 18 is too many days. You know what? Yeah, I'll come back to that. Jezza, there was a question you asked Dal, and I want to just shed some more light into it. Jez, I'm a little bit concerned mostly about injuries in this team, mostly as we get to the running of this title. And this Champions League combined together. Yesterday's game was screaming for a speedster who could be able to possess the ball yesterday, hold on to the ball and kind of like, just get running with the ball and just kind of run those Porto players down, because most of them were knackered actually at 70, from 60, 57, 70th minute. All of them were all on the ground, taking trips in and out of the touchline. So I felt they were tired. We really needed a speedster. The natural person that comes to your mind is Gabriel Martinelli, but again, he was injured. Yeah, again, it checks back to our summer transfer window. We didn't get a striker in. There'll be days where Kai Havertz won't be able to bail us out. So where is that striker to be able to, plug the holes there and help us out and link up play and just try and just out muscle and bamboozle some certain defenders and get the goal? Yeah, it's missing. And again, one of the most biggest indictment yesterday was during the penalty kicks yesterday. Jezza and Kenny Ken and Oregon Guna. Did you guys notice that none of our strikers who actually came in the second half, were amongst the first three to even play the penalties yesterday?
Great point, Tony.
Just let that sink in. Let that sink in. So it's true. And it means two things. One, the manager doesn't trust the strikers right now, and two, we fail to bring in a striker that he trusts, because it's clear he doesn't trust any of those guys. And those guys, to be very fair, aren't really good enough. Yeah, let's be quite fair. If Bukayo Saka, who had a very bad game yesterday, is put up to go take a penalty, even before Gabriel Jesus, even before Eddie Nketiah, I think that tells a lot about what's going on, with the team. But good win yesterday. Let's take nothing away from that. Good win. After 14 years, it's good to come back to the Champions League, get to the quarterfinals. We'll take our chances from there. I was still buzzing after the win yesterday, Jess.
Yeah, it's a great point, Dal. I've had this down to talk about that. We bring on Nketiah and Jesus, right? But I'm glad to see that Odegaard took the first pen, right? Magic goes in there, lovely penalty. I was a little bit, I don't know what. So then we've got Havertz, Saka, and Rice taking penalties. Saka, we know, is a good penalty taker. But neither of our strikers that were on the field took a penalty.
Because they're crap.
Well, okay, yeah, but why bring them on then? Why bring them on? If we know you're going to go, the game's going towards penalties, yeah? Right?
Yeah.
I just don't understand the logic. Seriously, I don't.
Bruv, if I could understand what Arteta does with subs, I'd be putting wagers on him in Vegas. The thing is that he knows Nketiah is crap, but he has no other option. When players are out there saying they're tired, they're dead, they got to get off, and he looks at the bench and goes, "Oh crap, I've got Tweedledum and Tweedledummer and Dickhead over here. So who am I going to pick?" Well, it's the worst of two evils, right? I mean, I think at the end he wanted to win the game. Obviously, he wouldn't put Nketiah on there, kept Havertz on there. We had our whole freaking strike force on there, and we still couldn't do it, right? So I think in his mind, we were going to pull another last second goal and win it. That's what I think. And then, of course, I think he thought of penalties as well. But you know what? I think the order he did the penalties is fine. I don't want Eddie Nketiah even off the bus, let alone taking a penalty in a Champions League game, right? So I think he made the decision, the sequence of players, absolutely perfect, spot on. But you're right, Jez. I don't have any answer to why he does half the shit he does. I don't think any of us do. You know, the substitution thing has been a stickler for us since the day he took the job, because he's reactive in his subs and not proactive to go win you games. And why the hell would you bring Jesus on to put him on the wing? I know he's played the wing, but that was at City. Different setup, different formation, different everything. I don't understand why you just go do a 4-4-1-1 and put Eddie behind Jesus or something. You know, it boggles the mind, Jez. You know, but like Kenny Ken said, these are the mistakes that we will pay for later on.
Yeah,
these are the mistakes. I'm glad he's making the mistakes now in some ways, right? But if I see Eddie Nketiah suiting up against Dortmund, PSV, or Real Madrid, I am going to absolutely lose my shit. You know, because then at that point it's like, oh, you're saving him for the Champions League. He didn't even get a sniff in Sheffield in a game that he scored a hat trick in 3 months before, and you're going to bring him on against Porto. I mean, it's just, this is why I'm completely on the fence with Arteta. I'm not in, but I'm not completely out. But if we would have lost yesterday, I would have hopped the fence. I did hop the fence. I do want him out because of decisions like yesterday. And let's be honest, was he really, really that intricate in the run of games that we scored 4, 5, 6 goals? Did he really do anything different? It was the same formation practically. It was the same attacking strategies that we used last season, and we just punished some bad teams. And then it all came back to roost again against Brentford. So, and it all came back again to roost again yesterday. The thing is that we go in these good spells, and someone said it before, our players get in a purple patch, and then it's a downhill spiral. And yesterday, like Kenny said, it was not a good, being at the ground was not a good look for the team yesterday. They did not play well. And,
we muscled through it. Let's get it right.
Yeah, exactly. We muscled through it.
Another super chat here for Tony. Docs and Coffee says, forgive the young Padawans, both players and fans. European disappointment they have experienced not year after year. Raj is as told to him by Yoda. Yeah, fair point. It's a fair point. Nice one. Thanks for the super chat to Tony there. Kenny, I want to get your view on that one. Before we go into the next thing I want to talk about, which is very important. Nketiah, Jesus are on the park, yeah? And we go with Odegaard, which I'm glad the captain should always stand up first, right? He's the top boy, so he should stand up, and he did well. Great penalty. And we had penalties from Saka, Havertz, and Rice. Got us over the line, got us through to the last 8. Yeah. But Kenny, why, when you got Jesus and our 2 strikers, Jesus and Nketiah, not in the first 5?
I think Jesus was taking the 5th penalty, because when I looked at the penalty takers throughout the squad, I had Havertz 100% in taking the penalty. I actually saying before he took it, come on, the German's never going to miss one of them. And people said, don't jinx it. I had Odegaard taking the penalty. I had Saka taking the penalty. I had Trossard taking the penalty, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Trossard, Odegaard, Saka. and obviously Havertz. I didn't actually have Rice taking a penalty, believe it or not. I just didn't have him doing it.
I didn't.
But if Jesus was to come on and those four stayed in the pitch, I'll have Jesus down as a fifth penalty take because he has taken penalties. I think he's taken a penalty for the club as before, so he definitely would have taken one. In terms of Eddie Nketiah had one job or one job only. There's 100% no way he would have taken a penalty unless it gets into the sort of sudden death. Then he would have definitely had to take one, but he wasn't going to take any of the five, preferred penalties because I've never seen him take a penalty. I'm sure he can take penalties, but he's never going to be on my list of penalty takers. We had enough, people out there to do it. But talking about your point about the designation of penalties, the fact is, the biggest elephant in the room was our strikers as well. We look at the league, look at the fact we scored 33 goals in 8 games. We've won all the 8 games. We're blasting teams left, right, and centre. We're going to win the league a different way. We're going to win the league that probably our Liverpool used to do it. Before Rush, how Man United did it before Cole, York, and players like Van Nistelrooy. The whole team has to contribute and get their goals. That's how we're going to do it. City before Haaland, the whole team contributes. Obviously, before Haaland, obviously they had Aguero, where he was the main man. But after he was got sold to Barca, that without Haaland, they had to win it a different way, and that's how we're going to win it. But you're right. You've got a great point, guys. What got City over the line in the Champions League? Haaland. How many he scored? How many goals he scored in European competition and cup competitions? 16 goals.
Yeah.
Or 36 in the league, 16 goals. So the goals he scored. What was missing in the Champions League was the goals. I think you're right. In this competition, it's not just that the ball retention has to be a lot better, but in those games, like yesterday, someone who's expert who can put the ball in the net, because that's what's required in Champions League. 3 things: ball retention, the ability to change the pace from slow to quick in the last third, and a striker. That's why I do think that if Arteta wins the Champions League with this team, it'll be his best achievement ever. It'll be equal to what Rafa did with Liverpool in 2005. Same sort of situation. A bit of a lack of experience, Julio.
So, Kenny, if we go 3-0 down to AC Milan, you say we're going to come back and win?
Yeah, exactly. But it was not so much that. It wasn't the fact that LA done it. You think about the side that he inherited, Julio. There was no way that team should have won the Champions League.
One of the best
person he had in the Champions League, and he got them to play above their ability. He got them to play the natural European tempo, where they're actually beating the big teams on the way to winning that tournament. I don't think that's why Rafa gets the love, because he won the Champions League with that team. That I compare that team to this team we have now. Obviously, we're doing a lot better in the league, but I'm talking about the lack of experience, the lack of European know-how, and the things that that you need to win in Europe. We haven't got that yet. So Arteta wins the Champions League with this team. Just give him whatever you want. Buy him travel cards, buy him flowers, buy him an house. Do whatever you want to him. Do his shopping for you. Offer your daughters, because that is going to be an achievement. Because that team, for me, can't win the Champions League. Can't.
Not right.
Can't.
We haven't got the depth. I'm sorry to tell you. Big up, Unique 79, becoming a YouTube member. Thank you, mate, for that one. It's a good question. Good point here. Question for the panel from Wira. Question for the panel. You guys agree that a bullet was dodged when Mudryk didn't sign? You can't seem to rest or rotate Martinelli, and a lack of an alternative must hurt. Tony, what do you think, mate?
Seriously, I think we really dodged the bullet, not signing Modric. I don't fancy the guy in any way. You know, he can pull up decent crosses, to the 18-yard box. You can see he's just this kind of player that is just a bit raw. Yeah, that's all I would say about him. He's a raw kind of player. You know, he needs to hone his skills. He needs to, learn his trade, learn the league, and people forget that he's just new to the league. So, and again, he needs to have a stable manager because I still think that with his short stint at Chelsea, it's played under two managers, Graham Potter and Pochettino, who's down there. So like this kind of things, they harm and they truncate the development of players per se, and it's this raw player that really needs time to harness his skills and to learn more. But again, I really do think that that's one of the mistakes that we made. We didn't go to get a winger to come and give Bukayo Saka or even Martinelli like for like replacement for them and give them something to think about. Clearly lacking, and that's one of the things in the summer transfer window I would like us to go and address. Very, very important, and mostly right now that Martinelli is always getting injured, all the time. So definitely we need to get someone in there. And luckily for us, there's some top players in Europe we could actually look at who could play from the wings. Gyökeres, who plays for Sporting Lisbon, can come from the wings. Very comfortable playing from the wings. He's also a number 9, potent striker. Victor Osimhen, if you want him to play as a number 9, he will do that. If you want him to come from the wings or play a little bit more deeper as a false 9, he can do this thing. So, we really have to look into the transfer window to get someone in. But for Modric, no. He's still a raw player that needs more development.
I mean, Dow.
Yeah.
Same question, man. Do you actually think we missed the bullet with not getting Modric?
For the money they wanted, yeah. I mean, I agree 100,000% with Tony. He's a raw player that comes out of the Ukrainian league for 90 mil. I mean, you got to be shitting me. No, he's a $30-35 million rated player at most. But there's something there. Like, I'm not going to deny that the skill's not there, the ball movement. He's got to refine his skills, but that goes towards Tony's point again of the rawness of him. But I could see the pace and the speed and why he would be a good asset for Arsenal. I can't figure out anything that Chelsea's doing. I watch them and it's just a bunch of kids running around at recess. It's just completely just utter crap to watch. But Modric has a place. He scored a nice goal over the weekend, cut right into the box, did a little ticky-tacky around the defender and put it on between the keeper's legs, I think. But the thing is, like Tony said, the rawness is there. And so for me, that's a future player. I'm not wanting future players, Jez. I want a title. I don't want. That's why I was so upset about the David Raya thing. I mean, it was a great move, but at the end, remember, we were talking, we didn't need a goalkeeper. Why are we spending money and wasting our time? And then we didn't sign anyone in January. I mean, see, now I'm already getting my blood pressure raised with Arteta. Blood pressure is starting to raise because all this stuff that we're talking about that he did not do is exactly falling into Kenny Ken's thesis on why we're not going to win the Champions League, because we don't have the players to do what we need to do. We're not buying winners. We're buying kids still that we think we can turn into world beaters. And I've always been under the influence that Arsenal's a club that's looking for the next Henry. We're always looking for that next gem to turn into the next Henry. And I'm sorry, we don't have the players for that. Maybe outside Martinelli because of his age and his ability. But I know that's a whole different topic. But the thing is that we did dodge a bullet for the money they wanted from Modric. I would have spent $30 million on the kid all day, but I maybe would have played him sparingly because we're chasing a title. I'm done trying to build up young players. We've been trying that now for 20 plus years, and it's gotten us nowhere. So I just think that, yes, we can certainly dodge the bullet financially, for sure.
Fact. Big up, Matty, in the house. Southern Guna, thank you, mate, for your super chat, man. What progressed in this competition? Your highlight is our lack of depth. Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad, but we made it through. But we definitely light in the arse. Facts, man. Facts. Absolute facts. Super chat for you, Tony, from Dr. Coffee. Mudryk would have done well under this current system. Yeah, well, okay. Yes, an interesting point. But Kenny, have we missed the bullet? Did we miss the bullet? Did we miss the bullet, Mudryk?
Well, the thing about it is that you say Arsenal dodged a bullet, but hindsight's 2020, isn't it? The fact is, you know, we went for Casado as well, and they got Casado.
Yeah.
If Liverpool dodged a bullet by missing out Casado, or remember Lavia as well. I always look at the situations and think, yeah, Endo's doing fantastic. He's just where they got that guy from at his age to have that amount of energy for Liverpool. That's one of the reasons why, with all their injuries, they're still in the title race because of players like that. By the way, that's just a separate issue. But in terms of like Mudryk, I look at it this way: if Arsenal really, really wanted him that badly, David Casado, one, they had the money to spend.
Right.
Two, most importantly, they had ideas on what to do. And I always say, if you go to the wrong club, there'll be misconceptions about your footballing ability.
Yeah.
And I put Mudryk and Casado in that category. The reason I put in that category because I am convinced that if Mudryk played in a better team, you wouldn't be seeing those performances for Chelsea. Mudryk, whether we like it or not, what Martinelli was looking at, what Arteta was looking at was someone with the pace in order to play that way he wants to play, which we're playing this season, and also the outlet because he wanted a goalkeeper who can kick the ball accurately long and throw it out. Although Ramsdale has done it, but it's all about. So he would have been you don't know what he would have been like in a better side, because the reason why I'm saying that, look at Kai Havertz. You know, at the moment, since the turn of the calendar year, you can't fault Kai Havertz's performances. Even before the turn of the calendar year, Kai Havertz significantly improved from the goal he got against Brentford. He's nothing but improved. Yeah. Do you think he'll be playing this way in that Chelsea team? That Chelsea team where there's a lot of upheaval, there's a coach who's basically been given players. You know, they haven't got a settled team. When they do have injuries, it affects the whole balance. You know, they still haven't got the striker they probably need. And Konku's just come back from injury. All those players that Chelsea have bought are fantastic footballers, but there isn't a plan. As much as I had my reservations about the man, and I've always wanted him replaced, and he was never my first choice. And 90% of the time, not having him, one thing I would say, at least there's a plan at Arsenal. There's a plan, a tactical plan.
Yeah,
and I just believe that Casado and Mudryk would be better personnel under this system because there's a plan. You know, a tactical plan. There's a style of play. It's probably going to change next season because once we get more experience, he's probably going to play a more European style because he wants to win the Champions League next season. That because he changes it every season. But there's always a plan. You know, the coach has got a secure job. There are very, very good players in this team. There's 3 players I think could become world class. Can't say that at Chelsea. Who are the world class players at Chelsea? Who are the leaders at Chelsea to get them off the ground? Think about it. You know, Thiago Silva's the only leader they got there.
Reece James, but always injured.
They're always injured, Reece James.
Yeah, he's injured. Reece James, their club captain. How many times has his hamstring given way?
About 107.
Yeah. So there's no continuity at the club. So you're looking at it and we're thinking, well, yeah, he's a flop. He's a flop. You look at Harry Maguire, flop, flop, flop. He was all right again when Solskjaer was in charge. But as soon as this guy comes in under Ten Hag, where there's a plan, but it's not a clear plan of playing. He looks adrift, and that's what I think. Sometimes we judge players on how they do at other clubs, and we don't picture them in an Arsenal shirt.
Fair play, man. Question for you, Kenny. Got to wrap this up shortly. I've got one. Ask this question. I'm going to do a round robin on about Friday. Nelson says, Kenny, this is for Kenny. Who would you get as our long-term Jorginho replacement? Bonus points, not saying Zupiminda. Who should we get to challenge Saka? There you go, Kenny.
Well, the thing about the Jorginho replacement, it says a lot that, you know, when we signed Jorginho last season, he was a player. We never even had that conversation, but he's become so important because of the way we're playing. But let's be honest. The question should be, who we sign if we have to let Partey go? That's the proper question, because fully fit Partey, Jorginho don't get the team. He is Partey's deputy. So you've got to say, who do we get to replace Partey to play alongside Deck and to protect Odegaard? In terms of like, because the midfielder, I would like to get, you know, it's going to be hard to replace and get someone that good. You know, it's going to be really hard to get someone that good because, you know, you may have to go for a bug. You may have to go for someone like Zubimendi, but you know, you look at Endo. You know, he's giving Liverpool what, you know, Fabinho and Jordan Henderson used to give him. Jordan Henderson gave him occasionally, but what Fabinho used to give him all the time. Control. A base. And how old is he? 30, 31? And how much did he cost? 30-something million? 35 million? We probably don't have to spend that much money to get a replacement for Partey. You know,
Endo costs 15 million, I think.
Yeah,
15 million.
Even less than that. So you've got to look at that whole situation. But you know, we can't rate Brighton because they've been raided. So
Big time.
You know, I'm gonna have to. I'm looking at, you know, the kind of midfielders who I think are going to cook, who are going to do a really good job. You know, I still have my eye on Douglas Luiz. I still think there's a lot of mileage in there. I do think he could do a really good job again if we have to let Partey go. I think him and Bryce will play well together. Plus, there's a technical aspect as well. He gives us a technical passing ability that Partey will give us that Declan still needs to find on a regular basis. So yeah, probably Luiz. In terms of like the replacement for Saka, open goal, Neto of Wolves. He's overcome his injuries. He hasn't lost his place. You know,
he just got injured. He just injured himself Saturday or Sunday.
Oh God, no! You had to jinx. Yeah. So basically, Coventry get the semi-final.
Right.
True. And if I were Mikel Arteta, I would start looking at the Douglas Luiz right now from Aston Villa as as someone who could come and give Bukayo Saka just a little bit of a scare, just a little bit, because yesterday, you know, I wanted Saka off just for a rest. I'm not slagging him off. I'm just saying just for a rest, because he didn't perform yesterday. Yeah, and again, he's our highest goal scorer, and I believe that he should be performing in this kind of games, but he's not. He does need some rest. Douglas Luiz will look better. In that position.
He's got to start a play. He's got to start a play where he's still learning, which means, you know, he's still very direct against really, really good defenses who are as quick as him and as physical as him. You know, because remember, Wendell wasn't just as as physical as him. Not he wasn't as didn't have the better tactical know than he has. He also had the pace as well. Wendell played him really well in both games. For those are 200. Those for that 120 minutes plus the 90, 210 minutes. Saka lost that battle, and that's the thing.
Agreed.
And I think I'm not saying that doesn't make Saka a bad player. I just think Wendell would have done that to anyone else. But it's one of those things where teams of opposition, not so much the Premiership, because I say it once, I say that now, the Premiership isn't high level. It isn't as high level as it was when we first moved to Emirates between 2005. It isn't as high level as it was when Wenger and Ferguson was there. Although, one point that Jamie Carragher had that was really correct. Despite the fact Arsenal and Man United were dominating under Wenger and Ferguson, their European return had a lot to be desired. If you put them both together, Alex Ferguson probably had a better European return, but he had one European Cup, plus he had a few the odd semi-final, but a lot of quarter-final defeat. Whilst we had nothing to show for it, just one final. Whilst you look at Klopp and Guardiola, which are the teams that dominate, they're probably the league is probably not as attractive and not as hard as it was under Wenger Ferguson, or in between when Ferguson against probably Mourinho and Ancelotti, those sort of times where you had some really good strikers and big teams, Rio Ferdinand and Co and all that. The fact is, this era, you can't fault a Klopp. 3 finals, 1 win. Guardiola, 1 Champions League, 1 final, but loads of semis. Their European returns a lot better.
Fact. Just want to do this, Tony, super chat, mate. Docton Coffee, he's been relentless tonight for you. Mudrick done a lethal weapon for the Arsenal. Mate, thank you for that super chat again. Right, I just want to do, before we wrap this up, because Tony and Dal will be going live very shortly. So we'll go for another 5-10 minutes max, and then they're gonna everybody go to their show and support them and everybody. And I'm just gonna say, if you're new in the house, please hit the subs and smash the likes. It does help the channel. It gets it out there, and we try and give you the best entertainment we can. I've got a great panel here tonight. You can't deny, with Dal, Tony, Claude, and of course Kenny Ken, the legend that he is. We're in the mix, guys. At the moment, currently, Dortmund PSV is 1-1. So who's going to get the result out of that tonight? Interesting. Inter Milan 1-0 up over Atletico Madrid. So that's going to be an important one. And then we are up against either out of that lot. We've got Bayern Munich, Man City, Real Madrid, Barcelona. Yeah. And then we've got Dortmund or PSV or Inter Milan and Atletico Madrid. Who, Dal, would you in the next round?
Who do I want?
Yeah.
Oh, PSV all day. PSV.
Fair play.
Yeah. Any of those, I mean, and Dortmund second, but any team outside of them, I do not want.
Fair enough. I agree with you. I certainly, I'm going to say my opinion now, and then I'm going to come to Tony, and I'm going to come to Kenny Ken. I do not want Man City in the next sodding round because I don't want to have to play them, right? And we all go, it all goes tits up. I also don't want Bayern bloody Munich because we know what they're about. Although I know they're not playing great right now. Yeah, the last time we were in the Champions League round of 16, beat us up 10-2. Yeah, right. Don't want that. I mean, I sit here and I will tell you, I'd take Dortmund, PSV. I'd even pop my neck out. I'd take Barcelona right now. They're shit. They're not great at all. They're not great. if we were to get through to the semi and then to the final, then we got to take who we get on the plate.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
At least if we get to the final, I'm not saying we'd win it, but at least if we get there, then it's on the day. It's 90 minutes, then it's extra time, penalties, whatever, blah, blah. It is going to be at Wembley. That's important. I think that would be a big, big positive for the Arsenal if we get there. And I said, if we get to that final, man, I'm getting a ticket. I swear. If it's going to cost a load of money, I am going. Right? It might cost me a silly amount, but I will be there. But let's get there first. Tony, out of them teams, man.
See, yeah, I would just, if you ask me, I would just go for, politely, I would just go for either PSV or PSG. And there's a reason to that. Because I still think PSG is a weak team, without Kylian Mbappe. He's on the verge of leaving that football club. I don't really respect the other, not respect, like, I don't really think that the other players down there, can actually monster anything without him in the Champions League. So I think they are weak without Kylian Mbappe. And, I'll take any of those two. I do think that they're a soft touch and they will play the kind of game that I think will fall into the hands of Arsenal. Arsenal shouldn't be wanting all these teams that have this trickery of the dark arts who will fall and roll over every 10 minutes. We don't need that and truncate the fluidity. PSG play fluid football. Dortmund play fluid football. PSV play fluid football. So let's see something like that. Let's actually see people who want to play football rather than anti-football.
Okay. Kenny, who would you want and who you really want to avoid?
Well, the thing about it is that the way we played yesterday, I want to avoid virtually probably all of them, really.
Yeah.
Because we talk ourselves up, but we spent most of it going through the bones of the team. And the most impressive thing is that we got through. The depressive thing was obviously the goal we scored, the thing Odegaard kept going. We were impressed with Gabriel. We weren't impressed with much else. We can't look down on any team in Europe, but obviously if you want to go by pedigree, PSV as a team will probably want to play. Dortmund, we definitely want to play because they're not strong this side. But Europe's the equaliser. It's always the equaliser. People say Barcelona, but I look at it. Barcelona still got Cancelo, they still got Lewandowski, they still got Rafinha, they still got good players. Defensively, they're probably not great, but they've got good players who can hurt us, and they'll kick the ball a lot better than we will. So I'm not ruling them out. PSG, I'm sorry, I don't want any Kylian Mbappe anywhere near our defence. Sorry, I don't want him within 2 inches of our defence. Not an inch. He is a match winner. He is the next cabinet rank when it comes to world class, being elite, world class, whatever you want to call it. He is the successor to Messi and Ronaldo, or Ronaldo and Messi, whatever order you want to play in. If they win the Champions League, it'll be through him and him alone. So you say if we keep him quiet, we're not going to keep him quiet. We're just not. He's just too good. We're not. He'll either go down, he'll either attack from left, give himself a free roll, and we'll find it too difficult to play against. He will be the difference for them. I don't want us anywhere near him. In terms of Bayern Munich, I'm sorry, Bayern Munich got too much quality for me, so I want them avoided. Real Madrid, not a chance. So really, it really, 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 really is only probably PSV and Dortmund. All the rest of them, I see minefields. Although Barca, you're right when you say about Barca, because Barca isn't the side where they had, Messi, Neymar, Suarez, that sort of side, and Busquets. It's not that team, is it? Or it's not that team, but it's still. But remember, we're a team. We're a team who've got a lot to sort of learn from. But remember, we're a bit young. We're babies in this tournament. You know what I mean? Absolute babies. We're not the team that Jamie Carragher says we are in Europe.
Well, I mean, that's he does talk bollocks anyway. But Kenny, look, I've made it. I've been mentioned on AFTV.
I wonder which one. They need to send you the video so you can have the right reply, because at the moment it's just a rumor. Unless you see evidence, it's a rumor.
Yeah, love it. Yeah. Come and prove that to me, to AFTV. Come and prove I'm a fake fan. When you've beaten the amount of games I've beaten you, fellas, then you can call me a fake fan. Yeah, okay. Yeah, 2,585 games. It will be 2,586 short.
You know what? We're not toning the line. We're not buying into the. We're not worshipping the ground that Robbie Lyle walks on. You know, we're actually questioning what Robbie Lyle and his fellow merry men have got to say. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to question them, especially now they're so positive. I mean, all of us in this panel have forgotten more than Robbie Lyle knows about football in general, let alone the Arsenal. And we've got evidence that he doesn't know much about Arsenal because he flopped in the Mastermind Challenge on the Saturday Social Show. That's just facts. It's facts. I didn't make this up. It's a fact. So, by all means, slag us off all you want. But the fact is, we're not going to bow down to Robbie Lyle and his channels. We're not going to do that. We are our own men, and we have a right to support the club we want. And we're a lot smaller than Robbie Lyle will ever be in terms of, like, you know, his importance as an agent. But the fact is, we're not going away, and we're not going to be intimidated by him.
Mate, he can do what he likes, mate, because at the end of the day, I don't know who it is that's called me a fake fan, but I don't care, because I know I'm not. And I've been there, and I've stood on the terraces like Kenny does every week. Yeah, he gets up, he goes there and everything. And if they want to question me about Arsenal, right, if they want to question my history and knowledge of Arsenal, ask me on, man, because I'll come and give you some information about the Arsenal that you haven't even heard of.
Yes, you won't get on the channel. You know why? For a start, the reason why you won't get on the channel, one, you don't want to. So that and two, you're not urban enough. You don't speak with the colloquialisms that is required. You know, you actually speak with the Queen's English. You actually put Arsenal first before anything else. So you're not going to be required. You don't have to try to be knowledgeable about football. You are. That's the fact.
I just think it's funny, man. I really think it's funny. You know, I just love it. I've had it all. Oh my days! Ever since I did a certain few channels, man, the amount of questions I've had about, oh, you weren't there, this, that, and the other, and you don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, right, okay, fair enough. I don't then. I'm just giving you my history of what I witnessed and what I saw on the terrace.
Hey, no one knows more than a middle-aged woman, estate agent from Gants Hill. No one knows more about Arsenal than that woman, the estate agent who was at Anfield 89. I mean, she could tell you a lot about Arsenal. You know, it's back that day. She could tell you about where she sat, where the away fans were sat. You know, who had flowers. If you want to hear anything about Arsenal, just go to that middle-aged estate agent from Gants Hill. She'll put you straight.
Yeah. Well, we know about that one. Anyway, guys, we're going to wrap it up. It's been a great debate, great opinions, great questions. Thanks everybody that put super chats in there, and everybody go over right now to Tony Claw's channel with Dal, and we're a great show over there. Dal, thank you for coming on, mate.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Great show today. I was able to pop on before I hop on here with Brother Tony. But I just want to say that I think if we're looking to replace Jorginho and Thomas Partey, we need to be looking at a one Youssef Fofana from Monaco. But I'll just throw that out there. Anyway, thanks, Jez. You can catch me, The Oregon Goon, on YouTube. Catch me on IG, Infamous Doubt. Catch me on with Tony in about 10 minutes. And every Friday with TJ and Connor on the American Idiots Show, 9 p.m. UK or 8 p.m. UK with the time change, somewhere in there. But yeah, thanks again, Jez. Great to see you, Kenny Ken, and good to see you too, Tony. I'll be with you soon. Peace out the chat too.
Cheers, man. Thank you. Tony, please shout out your great channel, man. You do some good stuff.
Yeah, thanks. Guys, come follow me and subscribe to my channel called Tony Club Gunner TV. Jez has brought me into his into his family, so I've been part of this family for almost a year now. So I've also done shows also with Kenny Ken. Kenny Ken has graced my channel also, and Kenny, it's happy birthday to you, man. 20 years younger to you, man.
You know what?
Happy birthday, man.
Trust me, I aged 20 years watching us play, but you know what? The reason why I shouldn't have aged 20 years during that match is because I told everyone before the game it's going to extra time. I genuinely thought, I was telling people, you're not getting home till about 1 o'clock in the morning. Just deal with it. You're not getting home when you said you were. So I said 2-0 extra time. So how can you say it's extra time? I said, you'll see.
He did call it.
Yeah.
Fair play to him, man.
Yeah,
Fair play.
Yeah.
One thing is, watch the legs. Keep an eye on Declan Rice. Keep an eye on a lot of our players because they are looking leggy, very leggy. And if you look at throughout the season, when teams play at high tempo, which we have to play to win the league, when it gets into the championship rounds, that's when you've got to get leggy. That's when your minds and your heart has to be strong, because I'm saying it now, the way we're playing is fantastic, but we're not physically going to be able to sustain that level of a performance because it's a physical impossibility. So we're going to have to find different ways to win football matches, both in Europe and both in the league.
True. In fact, the thing is, though, Kenny, we got a little break.
That will help, but it may not be enough. It may not be enough because international. You think about it with Euros coming up. Players like Saka have to fight. Steffi, thanks, Steffi. Thanks for your lovely message. With players like Saka, he's essential to Euro 2020. Cole Palmer has to turn up for that squad. Every player who wants to be in contention for the tournament in Germany has to turn up. That's why they are going to risk injuries. Southgate, with the games we got against Brazil and Belgium, you try to tell me that they're easy games, that you're not going to want to give your all in those two games. It's Brazil. It's Belgium. Come on. I just pray we don't have injuries.
Yeah. Big up.
And one thing, sorry to mention real quick, Jez, is I don't know if Kenny Ken knew this, but Wendell's the starting left back for Brazil.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
He's going to have a round with a good old Wendell.
Well, you can't rely on him in penalty shootouts.
No shit.
We're going to call it there. Kenny, I think you're doing a show tonight on Dan Potts, I think.
No. Dan's had to call it off because he's basically in demand because of what happened yesterday. Because obviously he's demanded quite a lot of shows. And he's got to do quite a bit as well. So we'll probably do it next week. Who knows? We could talk about England. But yeah, I just want to say thanks for the birthday message. Had a great time. And I'll leave you one thing. UEFA 10, football fans 0. The Champions League format is a farce of the highest order.
I wanted to talk about that tonight, but I just didn't get time. Sorry about that. Yeah. I was going to talk. I saw your great post about it. Anyway, during the break, after doing player ratings and fan cam last night, didn't get to bed till 2:30, chatting to Lee off stream. It's great fun. And we were talking all kinds of crap as we normally do. But I've got some great stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks with Kenny. We're going to be talking about the 89 season, the 91 team. Lee wants to join us for those. And Lee wants to also join us, Kenny, with you to talk about the FA Cups that you guys were at.
Right.
We won't talk about 71 and all that. That's, you know, you weren't even born then. So we won't talk about them. But we talk about the great Man United one, the 3-2. We talk about, I'm going to get a West Ham fan on to talk about the embarrassment of the 80s.
Hi, early doors. Seeing you later. Looking forward to seeing you.
I'll be getting on for that also. Another great West Ham fan that I've known for a long time. And so we're going to talk about that. So there's a lot of content coming up because I can't stand the international break myself. I just think it's a waste of bloody time, but there we are. It is what it is. And thanks for everybody for watching. Everybody go over now and support these guys on Tony Claude, Dale's channel. And thanks for jumping in, guys. And thank you for putting the show back to join me. That's very decent of you, boys. It's been a great chat. Do the outro, and we'll catch you all and see you all later. Take care, all. Take care.